Hi, I'm Leslie Palma, the Communications Director for Priests for Life, and I'm very excited today to be joined by Sandra Merritt, who every pro-lifer knows was involved with David Daleiden and the Center for Medical Progress in exposing the fetal harvesting and sale of body parts 10 years ago now. So Sandra, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So I understand that your ordeal is over, but before we get to that good news, I'd like you to take me all the way back. How did you get involved in the first place, and how long ago was that?
It was a little over 10 years ago, thinking about 12, and it began with a prayer. I was seeing how dark the world was, and I thought, I'm just getting older, and the world's getting darker. And I prayed and asked God to use me in any way that He would like to battle the darkness.
And did you know David Daleiden? How did you come into his orbit?
I was in his orbit. I just didn't know it. I'm a very private person, and I didn't have anything on Facebook or social media. So I was in his orbit, didn't really know him. And the way it happened, I was at one of my favorite coffee shops, Pete's, and with a friend, and I got a text, and that's where it started. And I really didn't know, who is this person that has my number? But it was a cryptic note, and I knew instantly that this was God's answer to the prayer that I had prayed not too many hours before.
Wow, that's a pretty incredible story. But God really asked a lot of you. This took years out of your life. So you went to you met with various Planned Parenthood officials, and you went to meetings and conferences and things, and the whole time you were undercover, basically, right?
Absolutely, undercover.
Had you had any acting training before, or was this new?
I've been asked that before. I was asked if I was a professional actress or had training, and I said no. And then as I think back on it, I should have answered, unless you can count Mr. Hooker's 8th grade drama class.
So I think for many of us, for me, I know especially that very first video is the one that I still have nightmares about, with Deborah, the first one that was released with Deborah Nucatola, crunching on salad, sipping her wine, and talking about crushing babies above and below. How hard was that to sit there and do that interview?
It wasn't hard. It was, and again, that's something people have said, how could you sit there and not jump across the table? And I was in character. I was in character. I was the fetal procurement. It was a startup company, and I was just in character. So I didn't react as I would if I was just person overhearing the conversation.
True. Were you surprised? I mean, were you prepared for sort of the level of depravity you came across?
No, I wasn't. You can read and you can know things, but it's a whole different story when you're actually face to face with these people and in their midst. It's a different ballgame.
Yeah. And now you did these interviews over the course of how long? A year or 2 years, something like that?
A couple of years. I don't know. 2 years. There was a lot of prep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So two or 3 years, it seems.
Mm-hmm. And then when it was all said and done and the videos had been released and America was shocked, you and David found yourselves on the chopping block. You had all sorts of charges against you. Was that a surprise to you?
Yes, it was. I was so naive. I thought I would go and do this and come back and carry on with my life.
But that's not. So tell us a little bit of what happened next after Kamala Harris got involved.
Oh,
She was
well,
California State
I was
Attorney
in
General.
I think I had gone to, well, I was being subpoenaed, served. People were showing up at the door, um, um, yelling my name, trying to serve me subpoenas, and I just never answered the door. And then, but I had a window that I could look out, and I could see reporters with their cameras ready for me to open the door. And so I just never opened the door. I just ignored. And then they'd hide in the out in the street behind a tree with their photos or the lens. And so I just ignored that for a while. And then I started speaking with attorneys. And then one of the attorneys asked me to come to Washington, D.C. for the March for Life. And that's when things really started to heat up with Kamala. And so I was flying back from D.C. I was in Texas, and my daughter was with me, and she was on her phone, and she said something about the lawsuits. And I didn't have any attorneys in line. And so I came back and to California, and then that's when it really started to heat up with Kamala. And fortunately, I was in phone conversation with Liberty Counsel, Harry Meehat, and he told me some things: get out of my house, turn my phone off, blah, 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 that. And so then then it really started. I realized, okay, can't go back to my old life.
Wow, that's amazing. So ultimately, I think you had like 14 or 15 felony charges against you.
I think it was 15 or 16.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Something. Who's counting?
I think I remember when I met you in 2019, you did spend some time in jail, didn't you?
Apparently so. My attorney reminded me I spent time in jail in Texas and San Francisco. I remember. I just didn't want to be in jail in San Francisco with earthquakes.
So what was that like, being in jail? That must have been something you'd never expected for yourself.
No, it really showed me. Well, I'll tell you a story of some of my cellmates. These were women that were probably prostitutes on the streets of San Francisco. Definitely drugs. They had been in this cell or been in jail. They were pros at it. And I kind of stood out. And so one of them, and I just didn't talk. I just sat and observed. And one of the ladies asked me, well, what are you in here for? And I thought, well, this is perfect. I'll tell these women. And there was one woman that had her orange suit over her head and was sleeping on the bench and never moved. And so I told them, well, I did some undercover work and exposed Planned Parenthood killing innocent babies and selling their body parts. And that one woman took her orange suit down over her face, turned around and said, I won't repeat what she said. You have a family show. She said, that's really blanked up. And I've always remembered her because I thought Cecile Richards, God rest her soul, can look polished and beautiful clothes. I think her salary was $1 million a year, but that woman in that jail cell had more moral character than Richards, in my opinion.
I think that I would agree with you there. So tell me some of the worst things that happened while you were doing the project. Like, what were some of the stories? You know, like I said, Nuka-Tola stuff sticks out for me, but what sticks out for you? What is it that you remember?
I think one particular meeting that I was in, they referred to babies as POC, products of conception. So they never said baby. It just, and the meeting, it was a breakout session, and the topic was, how do we get rid of all this POC?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And one woman behind me stood up and talked about getting an incinerator. She had looked into building her own incinerator. And people, you could feel, good, yeah, we can burn this POC. And so she says, no, it wasn't advantageous. It was, you had to, I don't know, all the stuff you had to jump through and how much money you'd have to spend in permits. So it didn't work out for her. And then another woman stood up and started talking about, I don't know if you remember in England, a hospital there had gotten caught burning the babies to heat up the hallways. So they talked about, well, we don't want any bad headlines. That was the concern, bad headlines about these POs. Yeah, burning babies to heat up hallways. And then there was a woman on the panel that said, well, I think that was a really good idea what they did. And then there was laughter in the room. So I hear the word Nazi thrown around today, describing certain people, but how ghoulish to sit in a room with mostly women, laughing about trying to get rid of and burn babies. So that was dark.
Yeah, very, very dark. All right, so now the good news. In January, somehow this all went away in ways I'm not sure I understand completely. So if you can clue us in.
Yeah, I'm not an attorney. So, it just went away. It didn't just go away. It was a long, arduous battle that Liberty Counsel and Harry Meehat, Nick Kosis, two young men who grew up in a communist country, both of them, Nick and Harry, and they fought this hard battle. Nick is an attorney in California, and all of the people behind the scenes at Liberty Counsel. So it's been a long, hard road that in January, it just went away.
Now, as I understand it, you pled guilty to one charge. And everything else was dropped. No jail time, no fine, no millions of dollars in fines.
No prison time. This was the criminal case, so this would have been 10 years in prison.
10 years in prison. And have the civil charges also gone away?
I'm sorry?
You still have any kind of civil charges or lawsuits against you?
The civil case has been over for quite some time. Okay. I won't go into the details of that, except to say Harry is a very smart attorney. And so that's history, and the criminal case, as long as I behave myself for a year, which I will.
Yeah, I'm sure.
No, the attorneys fought very hard, and I'll behave myself.
Well, that is fantastic news. So has life returned to something like normal for you?
No.
No, it'll never be the same.
No, you don't sit in a room with people that butcher babies. You don't have lunch and cocktails with people who murder innocent children, laugh about their little eyes rolling across the floor, store them in freezers. You don't sit and do that and return to normal.
See that. All right, so I understand that we are at Priest for Life. We're about to start a project where we're focusing on the fact that late-term abortion really happens, and you're going to be helping us with that. And why is it so important, do you think, to expose the truth about late-term abortion?
I think people need to know it. If people are educated, most people, not everyone, there will always be that depth of evil. But if people are educated and they understand what's going on behind the scenes, behind the doors of these Planned Parenthood clinics, just exposing truth, bringing light to it, it's worthwhile.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. So are you keeping involved in any other sort of pro-life activism now? Or
I'm behaving myself.
You're behaving yourself, so don't tell me if you are. Oh, well, it's great to see you again. I met you in 2019. I was very honored to get to know you a little bit, and it's great to talk to you now. And I'm so very, very happy for your good news.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Hi, this is Dr. Teresa Burke, the founder of Rachel's Vineyard and Pastoral Associate of Priests for Life. One of the key factors that impacts the relationship between a man and a woman is whether either of them had suffered the loss of a child in a previous abortion. These abortions affect a person's ability to bond with their partner or their future children. It affects their ability to trust, to make decisions, and to even have a physical intimacy. Abortions affect one's self-esteem, one's view of God, and one's overall physical and psychological health. For this reason, the question of previous abortions should be discussed by couples before they marry. And likewise, those who work with couples preparing for marriage should gently raise this question during the preparation and urge the couple to discuss this with one another. There is nothing healthy about keeping a past abortion secret, because even secrets can cause real damage.